Yeah, pretty sure it's not supposed to sound like that. I think that's my Windows way of telling me it's ready for retirement. Which, I mean, fair point. It's been doing its job for over 35 years now. So today, we're gonna dig in, tear this whole door apart, replace regulators, motors. While we're in there, all these crusty old sills. So let's get into it. We're gonna get started by removing a series of screws. We got one up here, one in the grab handle. We're gonna have to take a couple off of the window mechanism there, and we got 4 down along the bottom. So let's get them out of there. One thing to keep in mind, most of these old trucks, everything on these doors is gonna be incredibly brittle. So be very careful when you're prying stuff out and apart, because it will just snap on you. Now that we've got those out, I'm gonna go ahead and pop the panel out and get it around the door handle here. Now we gotta pop this light out. It's just a 1/4 turn. There we go. So as we can see, someone's been in here before, mostly held on by old tape, it looks like. So I'm probably just gonna go ahead and tear this out, and then when I come back in here before long and refurb the sound system, I'll go ahead and replace this. So next step, before I forget, I'm gonna secure the window in place. You can use masking tape. I have these little suction cup jobs here. I like these because it gives me a little leeway once I have the window free to kind of move it around a little bit. Now let's go ahead and pull this bracket off. So it's not absolutely necessary to remove the handle. You can get to all these rivets with it in, but just for clarity's sake, I'm gonna go ahead and remove it. That's a 5/16. And we'll go ahead and disconnect the motor here. These can kind of be tough, especially since they've been on there so long. This one's clearly been changed before. It looks like someone's drilled out holes here to get to the screws on the motor, but oh well. That came off really easy. All right, next step, let's go ahead and knock these rivets out. Now we use a 1/4 inch drill bit to drill the rivets out. Normally they hang on the bracket up there, they don't just collapse. That was easy to get out though. On these plastic bushings that kind of slide into the track up there, you'll notice there's a pretty good difference in these two. This one, the new one, has these little tabs here. So you gotta kind of get your finger behind there and press them in to get them slid onto the track. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, we're on. Okay, so on this next step, we're gonna swing the regulator up and get a rivet lined up and kind of just slightly get it started. That way we still have free movement, but it's secured in there. And now if you don't have these 1/4 inch rivets or a rivet gun that'll do 1/4 inch rivets, you can get them at a Harbor Freight for like 25 bucks for the rivets and the gun. Or you can use 1/4 bolts, and long term, I don't think there's a difference either way. Easier to install these, easier to remove the bolts. On the other door, I'll actually do bolts, and I'll throw that in right after this. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and free the window up. Already partially freed. I'm gonna go ahead and free the window up and maneuver it so I can get the rest of them. Now I may have to plug it back in and actually actuate the motor to get it perfectly in position. We'll see. Alright, so I forgot to hit record, but all I did was just ever so slightly adjust the window until it just about lined up. You can see the holes here. just to the point where I can move the window up and down to get it started. Line it up just like that. So these are the two easy ones, unless you have really small hands. Now, if you don't drop at least 3 of the bolts down in there at some point, you didn't do the job right. All right, final step on these bolts. Now that I got them all started, I'm gonna back each one of them off and then just put a little bit of medium strength Loctite on it. Or a lot of medium strength Loctite on it. Now to get all these snug down, 7/16. Nice and secure, not going anywhere. So let's go ahead, plug our harness in here. Make sure we are going the right direction because you never really know with these. Now let's see if up is up or up is down. Nice. Now don't worry if yours does go backwards. I'll show you real quick how to correct it. All it is to get this off, take a little pick, put it right there on the side, pry up gently, slides right out. Then you're just gonna go the opposite direction. That's a little spot where it keys in, so put that on the opposite side. Clicks in place. Same thing with this one. Completely forgot to hit record, but next thing I had to do was just pull the wiper sill out. Just started this in and pulled up, ripped it out, and then took the 7/16 bolt off there and 2 Phillips up here to free up the vent window. At that point, I'm gonna pull out the sill right here, right at the top. I wanna make sure I leave it in this track here and then just pull backwards. Kind of free it up, get it out of there. You can get to a position where you can kick it at an angle, kind of free it out of there. Now one thing you wanna pay attention to is where your corner falls right here. You wanna make sure to get your new one in that same position. So, and set your vent window aside for a few minutes. Now our window here is quite free, so we can go ahead and pull this out. And then just pull up and take it out. Another thing to pay attention to on these track sills is you'll notice the old sill is quite a bit thicker there, but the vent window side and then down here once it meets the door is thinner. So your new one, like mine, it is thinner on the vent window side, but it doesn't ever thin up going down this side. So we're gonna have to note where it goes through the door right here. So we're gonna have to note where it goes through the door right here and trim it. That way it doesn't pinch the window. Otherwise, it'll really put a bind on the window and it won't wanna go up very smoothly. We're back at our vent window now. We're keeping in mind where our sill was before. We're just gonna walk her down in there. Now I'm gonna guide the vent window back down in. All right, so first things first, I'm gonna get this installed with the window in the track and kind of get my sill aligned here so I can tell where it's gonna meet right there. Then I'll go ahead and do the trimming and pop this back out, loosen the sill there, and kind of leave it here and guide it down in that side. That's the toughest side right there, but let's get it in. Okay, so I'm gonna mark it about right there. Just do the other side about the same. Doesn't have to be perfect on that, just fairly close. And as you can see, we don't have to take a ton off, just the same amount as that right there. Just that much more of it. Okay, we have this side good and secured, know where we're going with it. We'll go ahead and pop it back out up here. free up our window here. That way it gives us room to kind of move the glass out of our way. And we're gonna feed this down in the door and have a really fun time getting it pressed back into that track. Okay, now we gotta try to get the window back into that track. Not too bad. Now that we got that done, we're gonna reposition the vent window while simultaneously lining the window up in the track. Get everything pushed into position. That's about right. At this point, I'm gonna finish putting my track in. Looking good. I do have one irregularity right on the outside of that sill there. I might pull the window down and try to just finagle that in a little bit better. To be fair though, these were the cheapest sills on Rockauto, so I might be dealing with something that's not 100% fixable, but we'll give it a go. A couple things to mention about these wiper sills when you get them. One's gonna have 5 prongs, the other's gonna have 4. So 5 goes on the outside, 4 is on your door panel on the inside. One important thing to note here, when you pull your old one out, hold on to it to kind of check this spot right here. You wanna kind of make sure you have the same bevel going right there. Otherwise, what I've seen is you just won't be able to get this backside to sit down in there. So you may have to just trim a little bit off on this one. Looks like I'm gonna trim, 3/16 or more, kind of down a little edge there, trailing off to that point right there to get it to seat down in there. Now as you're doing this, these front little legs on here are gonna go in these slots, and then you just snap her down in. Sometimes easier said than done to get all 5 of them started. I think I'll trim a little bit more off of that rubber edge right there, but not too shabby. Now on the door panel side of this equation, like I've mentioned, most of your door panels, like mine, are gonna be super brittle, so be very careful. Like this one's already just fallen out. But I know for a fact my driver's side is gone because the inside one is just loose. I can just pull it out with ease. This side's not bad other than that one right there. All right, now final part of this, I personally like to throw the door handle back on and kind of feed the door over the door handle. It's up to you, however you like to do it. For me, I find that 5/16 bolt right there really hard to get to. So I'm gonna throw the door handle back on. And can't forget about our bracket. I almost did. So we'll get our bracket reinstalled. All right, first thing, I'll feed my window switches through. Better if I leave that locked. Clip my light back in. This is the one you want to be very careful with. It's very brittle. Okay. Now we're gonna work that door handle, and it can be tough getting it through there. Not terrible, just a little tough. Again, be very careful. These are super brittle. You can see this one's already starting to crack, so I'm just gonna barely get her in there. Another thing you're going to want to do is make sure before you button it all up to vacuum out inside the door panel to get your hand down in there and clean it all out. Otherwise, you'll hear all that garbage in there jingling around and clacking whenever you're hitting bumps and opening and closing the door.